The Jaire Alexander situation has left Philadelphia buzzing. A veteran cornerback brought in for depth, leadership, and a chance at redemption, suddenly stepping away before even taking a snap in midnight green. It's the kind of headline that shakes a locker room and a fan base. And the timing couldn't be more peculiar. Just 2 weeks ago, Howie Roseman made the move, sending a 2026 sixth-round pick to Baltimore in exchange for Alexander and a 2027 seventh. A fair trade at face value, a calculated gamble on a proven talent who, when healthy, had been an all-pro caliber player. But health has always been the asterisk attached to Jaire Alexander's name. Years of wear and tear, a history of nagging injuries, and now, as reported by both Jay Glazer and Diana Rossini, he's stepping away to focus on his physical and mental well-being, even contemplating retirement. So smash that like button to help support the channel. Let's go! It's worth revisiting how quickly things unfolded. Alexander arrived in Philadelphia with cautious optimism surrounding him. He reunited with Christian Parker, the coach who helped him reach elite status back in Green Bay. The hope was that the same chemistry could reignite his career. He even practiced with the team, suited up in that number 18 jersey, moving through drills, working alongside Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, the new generation of Philly corners thriving under Parker's guidance. Some fans even dared to believe he might suit up against the Packers on Monday Night Football, returning to face his old team in what would have been a poetic storyline. But that didn't happen. The Eagles made the decision for him not to travel to Green Bay, and within days, he was gone, informing the team he needed time to get right. And this is where things get murky. The front office must now ask, what happens to the draft pick they gave up? Will the Eagles be able to recoup it? That sixth-rounder may not seem like much, but it's a valuable chip for a franchise that's built itself through shrewd late-round drafting. Maybe a mutual understanding can be reached with Baltimore. Maybe not, but the Eagles, in typical fashion, have already adjusted. They've placed Alexander on the reserve/retired list and activated Jaquan Bennett to the 53-man roster, a young corner who flashed early in the season before going down with an injury in Week 3 against the Rams. And it was Bennett, remember, who helped seal that win with a crucial block on the field goal that allowed Jordan Davis to scoop and score. Meanwhile, Adoree Jackson has quietly been stabilizing his side of the field. After a rough start to the year, he's found consistency, giving up fewer than 40 yards in coverage since Week 1 and holding the Packers to just 23 yards on 4 catches last Monday. So maybe, just maybe, the cornerback room isn't in crisis mode. Between Jackson, Khalid Ringo, Bennett, and the standout rookie Mitchell, the Eagles might have enough talent to weather the storm without scrambling for another signing. But of course, that hasn't stopped speculation. The whispers have already started. Could Asante Samuel Jr. make his way to Philadelphia? His father, a beloved former Eagle and Patriots star, added a little fuel to the fire with a few well-placed emojis on social media right after the Jaire news broke. Jr. was just signed to the Steelers' practice squad, meaning technically, the Eagles could swoop in and sign him to their active roster. It would require some maneuvering, another roster spot cleared, but Howie Roseman isn't one to shy away from opportunity. Still, it's important to note, as of now, there's no move in place. If you're a fan, you can't help but feel a bit deflated. You wanted to see what Alexander still had in the tank, whether he could find new life under Parker's tutelage. Instead, his brief stint in Philly joins the strange list of players who came and went without ever taking a snap. Frank Gore, who signed and then bolted to Indianapolis, Zadarius Smith, who signed and then retired, and now Jaire Alexander, a talented player whose body and mind just couldn't hold up any longer. It's a sobering reminder that the NFL isn't just about the spectacle we see on Sundays. Behind the stats and the headlines are real people, dealing with real strain. And while fans may feel frustrated at a trade that fizzled before it began, the team's decision to support Alexander's choice says a lot about the culture inside that building. Still, one question lingers as we shift focus toward the stretch run of the season. With Alexander gone and uncertainty in the air, will the Eagles make another bold move in the secondary, or will they trust the pieces already in place to carry them through the rest of this campaign? What do you, the fans, think Philadelphia should do next? The conversation around what happens next in Philadelphia's secondary isn't just about depth charts and roster moves, it's about identity. The Eagles have built their reputation on resilience, next man up mentality, and the ability to adapt when chaos hits. Losing a player like Jaire Alexander before he ever saw the field might seem like a minor storyline in the grand scheme of things, but within the locker room, moments like this can ripple. Veterans see another comrade step away, young players see a door open, and the coaches have to steady the ship while keeping everyone focused on the bigger mission, another Super Bowl run. Let's talk about Jaquan Bennett for a second because he's quietly one of the most intriguing players in this mix. Before that early injury against the Rams, Bennett was showing flashes of what the Eagles hoped for when they brought him in: length, burst, and a natural feel for tracking the football. That blocked kick play might seem like a small moment in a long season, but those are the types of plays that win games, the type that coaches remember. Bennett's activation to the 53-man roster isn't just procedural, it's an opportunity. And now, with Alexander's departure, he could become a critical part of the rotation opposite Quinyon Mitchell. Speaking of Mitchell, it's impossible not to acknowledge what he's doing as a rookie. The kid's playing like a first-team All-Pro, showing poise and instincts beyond his years. The Eagles coaching staff, particularly Christian Parker, deserves credit for how well this young corner room has been molded. Cooper DeJean has been lights out in the slot, arguably the best at his position in the NFL right now, and that flexibility gives Philadelphia breathing room to move pieces around as they deal with the fallout from the Alexander situation. But it's not all smooth sailing, and fans know that. This team has been dominant in flashes and vulnerable in others. The pass rush has carried stretches of games, masking coverage breakdowns and keeping quarterbacks on edge. When that pressure hits, the back end looks elite. When it doesn't, things can unravel fast. That's where leadership matters most, and that's where the culture built by Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman comes into play. They've emphasized accountability, unity, and adaptability. And if there's one thing Eagles fans can count on, it's that this front office won't hesitate to act if they sense the secondary slipping. And hovering above all of this, like a storm cloud that refuses to clear, is the A.J. Brown situation. His recent comments on that Twitch stream, his visible frustration, and his emotional honesty have divided fans and analysts alike. On one hand, you respect his drive. He's a competitor, the kind of player who demands excellence from himself and his team. On the other hand, the drama surrounding his attitude, his comments about fantasy football, and his tone toward the organization have created noise that no team fighting for playoff positioning wants to deal with. The numbers tell part of the story. Brown's production has dipped this year, partly due to missed time, partly due to game flow, and maybe partly due to scheme. But even with fewer targets, he remains one of the most dangerous receivers in the league when he gets the ball. That's what makes this situation so delicate. A happy A.J. Brown can be unstoppable. A frustrated one can be a distraction. And that's the word that keeps coming up: distraction. This team is 7-2, sitting atop the NFC, and still some of the headlines are about off-field tension rather than on-field dominance. It's no wonder some voices around the league are beginning to wonder whether this might be A.J. Brown's last season in Midnight Green. The financial math adds up to that possibility. Paying two receivers top-tier money, Brown at $30 million plus and DeVonta Smith likely commanding $25 million, creates long-term cap strain. Moving one to reset financially and reload through the draft isn't a wild theory. It's a calculated, business-minded possibility. Of course, that's not something you want to see play out mid-season. The focus now has to be on the mission. The roster, despite the drama, is built to win right now. The defense has the depth, the offense has the firepower, and the coaching staff has been through these emotional swings before. But fans in Philadelphia know what comes next. The questions start to multiply. How will this locker room respond to the noise? Will AJ's frustrations fade if he gets more targets? Or is this the beginning of a bigger fracture? Can the secondary hold steady with a mix of veterans and young talent? Or will Roseman feel pressured to make another aggressive move before the next game? Those are the questions echoing through every corner of the fan base right now. And that's where I want to turn it to you, the heartbeat of this city, the voice that fuels this team. Do you think the Eagles should stay the course and trust this roster to overcome the turbulence? Or is it time for Howie Roseman to step in once again and shake things up before the playoffs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay locked in on every twist and turn of this roller coaster season, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the videos we've got lined up right here on your screen. Because here's the truth, and every diehard in Philadelphia knows it, this team doesn't shy away from adversity. It feeds off it. Every time the narrative seems to tilt against the Eagles, they respond with that familiar edge, that underdog grit that's become a signature of this city. So while the headlines right now are filled with uncertainty, Jaire Alexander's sudden exit, A.J. Brown's emotional turbulence, questions about the future of the roster, the heartbeat of the team still pounds strong. Inside that locker room, leaders like Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelce, and Fletcher Cox, even in a mentorship role now, set the tone. The message hasn't changed. Block out the noise, trust the process, and handle your business on Sundays. That's how this team clawed its way to a Super Bowl last year, and it's how they plan to do it again. Let's break down what that means moving forward. With Alexander gone, Jaquan Bennett and Khalil Ringo have a golden opportunity to solidify themselves as key contributors. Bennett, as we've said, has the athleticism and physicality to play outside in man coverage. He just needs consistency. Ringo, on the other hand, has quietly improved each week, showing better technique and awareness in zone. Both are still learning, but the potential is there, and with Quinyon Mitchell playing like a veteran All-Pro, the foundation of this secondary is stronger than most realize. What Christian Parker has done with this group is nothing short of remarkable. He's taken a mix of rookies, mid-round picks, and veterans, and molded them into a cohesive, disciplined unit. The pass rush helps. Of course, Haason Reddick and Josh Sweat have been terrorizing quarterbacks, but Parker's teaching has transformed the defensive backfield into something sustainable. It's a culture of growth, accountability, and attention to detail, and that's exactly why the Eagles trusted him enough to bring in someone like Alexander in the first place. And that brings us back to the front office. Howie Roseman's genius lies in his foresight. Every move he makes is about the long game. That's why it wouldn't be surprising to see him evaluate wide receiver prospects in next year's draft, or keep an eye on a potential trade market that could reshape the roster once this season concludes. He's never static, never complacent, and that's part of why this organization stays competitive year after year. Now, about the A.J. Brown saga, because we can't pretend it isn't hanging over everything. His Twitch comments hit like a thunderclap through the fan base. If you have me on fantasy, drop me. That line wasn't just frustration, it was a window into a deeper disconnect. But context matters. Brown is wired differently. He's the kind of competitor who hates losing even in practice. When things aren't perfect, when he feels underutilized, that fire spills out. Sometimes, that's what makes him unstoppable on Sundays. Other times, it becomes a storyline. The coaching staff knows this. Nick Sirianni and offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who's been under his share of scrutiny, are aware that managing Brown's passion is as important as scheming his routes. They've built this offense to spread the ball, to DeVonta, to Dallas guys